Good evening. Hope you're all doing well. Today we're learning Maseches Bava on Daf Kuf Hey. I've had an extremely crazy day. We're going to be learning one blot tonight. It's anyways a long blot. I'm not yet sure if I'm going to do a shiur tomorrow, but as you can see, Hashem loves me, and Kuf Zayin Amud Aleph is very short. So we'll figure things out as we always do. There will be no shiur Sunday night, Monday night, or Tuesday night, and I will be recording and posting. I'm going to be in hopefully sunny Los Angeles, hopefully on the sunny part. Okay. Here we go. 8 lines down, Kuf Hamid Aleph. We had said in our Mishnah, Chutz mi pachos shava pruta bekeren, that if a person owes less than a shava pruta, then there is no chiyuv to then schlep across the world to bring back that shava pruta. Amar Rav Papa, 2 versions. Here's version number 1 of Rav Papa. Lo shanu ela she'ein gzela kayemes. When do we say that you're not obligated to chase this guy down? That's when you've lost your paper clip, which is pachos mishava pruta. Aval gzela kayemes tzarech lelech acharav. However, if the paper clip is still there and it's only pachos mishava pruta, let's say it's 3/4 of a pruta, so then you have to give it back to him. Chayshina and shema tiyakir. Listen to this halachic lamdos. If this chatzi mishava pruta changes in market value to be a pruta, now you're a gazlan doraisa. And now you have to go make sure that you're checking off your boxes. But it's a chashash. It's not a vadai. And that's why version number 2 of Rav Papa is the antithesis of this. Ika de amre, quarter of the way down. Not really. 12 lines down. Amar Rav Papa, loshna gzela kayemes, loshna ein gzela kayemes, ein tzarech lelech acharav. Even if you have it in hand, you don't need to chase the guy, because l'shema tiyaker lo chayshinam dayenu. We don't have to worry that paper clips, which are worth 2 cents, are going to become worth 5 cents. No, this is different. This has to do with the mitzvah d'oraisa v'heishi b'sag. There's other things going on here. This isn't just a question of it's not just a question of did you violate. It's 2. It's did you violate the isser of gzela, and if in fact it elevates and you did violate, now you have a lavanitak. There's multiple layers of what's happening here, so it's not just about the isser. But even if it was just the isser, dayenu. But you're saying it's mashal mishas like gzela. Okay, fine. So obviously there's. It should not matter in regards to the gzela. Zela is right, correct. So it must be that the mitzvah d'oraisa kicks in. Okay, says the Gemara Amar Rava, Gazal shalosh agudos b'shalosh prutos. I stole 3 bundles. Their total value was 3 prutos, which means that each bundle that I stole is worth 1. The huzlu, and now the cost of 3 is no longer 3. The 3 items that I bought are now ve'amdu al shtayim. Now they're worth 2, which means that each of them is worth, let's say, 0.6, 0.7 of a pruta. Im hichzer lo shtayim. What if I, the gazlan, who stole these 3 things that are now worth 2 zuz, whatever, 2 prutos, and I only give back 2, chayiv lahachzir lo acheres. I have to give back the last one. The last one's only worth 0.65 of a pruta. Doesn't matter. You have to give it back. Let's discuss more. The Tanatuna, we actually have this already written in a brisa. This we have seen earlier in this Masechta. Gazal chametz v'avar lava pesach. If I steal your chametz and I ruin it because it's chametz v'avar lava pesach, you didn't do bittul. Again, this wouldn't happen today because we do bittul on everything. Kol chamir b'chamia de'ika birshusi, that I know about, that I don't know about, that it's in this part of the house, that part. Even when we sell chametz, we're like everywhere, the kitchen, the basement, everywhere. We write down everything. So if I steal your chametz and it's chametz v'avar lava pesach, which means that it's no longer usable, so omer lo haresh al chalafanecha, I the gazlan can give it back to you. Why is this? Tama. The reason why is the isay be'ene. That's because the gzela is here. I have it in front of me. That which is I stole, the big expensive bottle of bourbon, whatever it is, or scotch. But halese be'ene, what if it wasn't there? What if I lost it? What if it's gone? Afal gav dahashtalav mamona, even though right now there is no value because it is aser behana, kevan demei ikara mamonahu, because when I stole it, that bottle of scotch was worth $7,000, but ishlume, I'd have to pay. Therefore, hachanami, afal gav dahashta lo shava pruta, here too, in our case, where I bought 3 bundles and now they're worth 2, and I returned 2 out of the 3, even though the remaining third only really is shave 0.65 of the pruta, but kevan demei ikara shava pruta bo ishlume. Fascinating. It also means that we're looking at the item. We're not looking at the dollar value, which is. But he only had returned 2. So the question is, what do you do with the third? You only returned 2 out of the 3, and Now the market says that these 3 bundles are now worth two pruta total. So I've given you back 2, which means that the one that I have left is pachos mishava pruta. It's 0.65. Do I have to give back the 3rd one because it's pachos mishava pruta? So the Gemara says yes, not because pachos mishava pruta has to be returned, but because what you stole was 3 bundles. Even though it's pachos mishava pruta. This aligns with the second answer of Rav Papa above also. Okay, halfway down. Boy Rabba, Gazal Shte Agudos per Pruta, a little bit of a variation on the case. I stole 2 bundles that are equal to a Pruta. So that means out of the gates, each one is worth 0.5. Each bundle that I stole is worth a half. And I only returned one, very similar to the last case. It's a little different because there's no market fluctuation, but the question at the end of the day is the same, which is that the thing that I didn't return is less than a pruta. Do I have to return it? Mahu. Mi amrina and hashta leka gzela. Do we say that really nothing was stolen because it's pachos mishava pruta? Odilma halo hadar gzela dehavai gabe. But or do we say you didn't give back that which you stole? Veheshivas gzela asher gazal. I stole this item. If I stole a coin that's pachos mishava pruta, it's coinage. Okay, fine. But here I stole an item. So it says the Gemara hadar pashta gave the answer. The Gemara says a cryptic answer, Gzela ein kan, Hashava ein kan. There is no Gzela and there is no Hashava. So says the Gemara, what does that mean? Gzela ein kan. If there's no Gzela, Hashava yesh kan. Can we even talk about the mitzvah of Hashava? And I'll just spend a moment to speak about this idea that this is the classic example in halacha of alav hanitak le'aseh, where we have a mitzvahs aseh that is immediately tethered to the isser. I should say the other way. We have an isser deraisa that's immediately followed by a mitzvah deoraisa. It's one of those mitzvahs we don't pursue. It's like gittin. We don't like pursue gittin. We don't pursue v'heshiv like zeh lasher gazal. But if in fact you did steal, you are a gazlan, then you have a mitzvah d'oraisa v'eshiv like zeh lasher gazal. So when we talk about hashava, about returning, there's no discussions of hashava if you did no gzela. It doesn't exist in a vacuum. The mitzvah of v'eshiv like zeh lasher gazal only exists upon theft. So if the Gemara says Gzela ein kan, then what kind of hashava are we even talking about? And the Gemara says Hachi Kamar. This is pshat in this cryptic line. Afal pisha Gzela ein kan. Even though you haven't violated the isser of Gzela, mitzvahs hashava ein kan. There's also no mitzvah. You did steal, right? You did steal, but now you've kind of sort of checked a box, because all you owe now is pachos mishava pruta. So while you stole, right now you're no longer a gazlan, and therefore there's no hashava, even though you never returned fully what you stole. So it really is like a ben hashmashosi kind of case, because I did steal a shava pruta, I gave back only part of it, but I didn't return all of it. So the Gemara says you have not fulfilled the mitzvah deoraisa of heshves hagzela asher gazal. V'amar Rava, Hare Amr, we have a similar case like this. Nazir Shegileach. We know, of course, that there's a mitzvah for a Nazir to shave his or her head after the Nazirus. V'shir shtei se'aros. I saw someone in Jewel with this haircut the other day. They had a little, the mamish shaved down with a scalpel, except for a tiny little ponytail coming out of the back center by the nape, like where we would put our tefillin knot. Had a beautiful long ponytail coming out. It was beautiful. It's a new style. David, you should try it. You should. Yeah, grow it out. You're working on. So had this person been a Nazir, something tells me that they weren't quite a Nazir, or okay. So the din is that if you're what? I know Mark should grow it out. Yo. My son and Aaron Naftali told me that a couple of boys accepted Naziris upon themselves by accident this past week. And it happened to be that I think Rabbi Reese was in the building or something like that, and they did Hataras Nadar.
I can't do that by accident.
It doesn't take much.
I mean,
Don't even mess around. It is not difficult in front of Adim, in front of. It doesn't take much. It doesn't take much. When I was in high school, the same thing happened. 2 guys in my class did that, and we went to Rabbi Morgenstern. Amol, we went to Rabbi Morgenstern in the base measure. He did a Hataras Nadar for them also. What? What'd you say? I went to the yeshiva. What book? I have no idea. I didn't see it. Those 2 kids in my class. What book is this? I didn't know. Was it the one that was given out at the 100th year, the centennial? Wow, I got to go to class in '94. That was I know who they were. I remember them. I was dear friends with them. They got haircuts the next week. I'm just saying they did a Taras Nadarim. I hope not. But by the way, they're avaryonim, because to be right, it's kol porish min hayayin nikrachote. I wonder if they get a chait for the Nazirus also.
Oker, I think we learned such a thing. Is it Oker lechatchila? Because the question came up: if a woman accepts Nazirus and drinks wine, so she breaks it, and then her husband is made for her before Shkia, do we say it's Oker?
Yes.
She never had it. I don't remember how.
Dude, that case is more sophisticated than this case.
The same question here: if was it never really because it was Oker lechatchila, never not avaryonim. Or,
But it's different with a woman because she has no bilus over her own nether. It's different. She has different. She's not.
But even so, it's still the same question.
She has no control.
Oker made kara.
I in my head I'm distinguishing. I could be wrong. Yeah. So according to that line of reasoning, the only time you're ever kol porish min hayayin nikrachote is if you complete your nazirus. And stam nazir shloshim yom. So let's say that they were nazirim for 29 days, and then they went to Rabbi Morgenstern and Rabbi Reese.
Yeah, I don't know enough to know how that
Correct.
works, but I want, if it's, that's the machlok, is it Oker Meikar or not, which I can't say. I remember just enough to be dangerous.
That's very dangerous, by the way. Very dangerous. It is Beinenu, among friends and whoever else is listening. It's one of the hard parts of Daf Yomi is that the psak is just, it eludes you because you need Rishonim and Achronim. It eludes you. It's actually, sometimes I go home and look up sugyas. I'm frustrated because I feel, saying we're learning Harchava, we're learning Shas, and it's beautiful. And you need the Herchev in order to get the Amkus, but no. By the way, the best way to become a non-posek is to teach Daf Yomi. No one asks you any shilos. It's amazing. Amazing. So, says the Gemara, V'amar Rava, Hare Amru, Nazir Shagilech V'shir Shtei Sairos. He has a mitzvah deoraisa to be megaleach, and he leaves over 2 hairs. Lo asa v'lo klum. Good job. You're bald. You got 2 hairs sticking out of the back of your head. And guess what? You didn't even fulfill the mitzvah. Boy Rava, Gilech achas v'nishra achas mao. Now you got 2 hairs left. You take out your scissors or your razor, you cut one of them, and then the last one falls out before you get to cut it. All right, what happens to your mitzvah deoraisa? Amar le Rav Acha midifti l'Ravina Nazir. Yes, Nazir shegilech achas kami boile l'Rava. This can't be a question for Rava. Pasha, you fulfilled the mitzvah. If your hair falls out, what are you supposed to do? That's the mitzvah. Okay, your hair's gone. You were in the process of cutting them. Okay, you're still going to fulfill the mitzvah. Says the Gemara, 2/3, 3/4 of the way down. Amar le lo tzricha kigon shenashar achas mehen first, and then begilech achas. You have 2 hairs left, and then hair number 1 of the 2 that's left first falls out on its own, and then you get your scalpel, and when you're looking to remove that last hair, the last 2 hairs, you see there's only 1 left. Now you're not even being megalech a shiur's worth. Do we say mi amrinan hashtamias halek a shiur? Now there is no shiur that ruins your mitzvah, and therefore you already fulfilled your mitzvah. Odilma halavgi luachu the meikara hashir shtei sairos. That really you did not fulfill the mitzvah because you left over 2 hairs. But hashta kigileach lo have a sairos. So therefore you've lost the mitzvah altogether. You just lost it. This is unfortunate. There's the way that
have a razor, scissors go over that spot.
There's no hair. What are you cutting? So according to this second approach of the chakira, there is no way for you to fulfill the mitzvah. You lost it. Yes, your hair is gone. There's no more that you need to do or can do, but you lost the mitzvah saseh. You lost it. One of my Rebbeim said this when I was in Shalvim. He said, I understand if a person is sick all day and they can't put on tefillin, but don't claim that you were yoted the mitzvah of tefillin. don't. You're putter. I'm not saying you're not putter. You're putter. It's fine, but don't say you fulfilled the mitzvah deraisa. So here it's similar. Like you A for effort, but you lost the mitzvah because you left over 2 hairs, and then when you went to go cut off the last 2 hairs, 1 of the 2 had fallen out. I'm sorry. It's just mitzias. You can't execute this commandment. That you've lost it.
So you can be in a hospital bed and you're putter from putting on tefillin?
Pasha, yeah. Shulchan Aruch writes that if a person has terrible stomach pains, so that causes for hesach hadas. If a person has, I'm just use an example from my life. Thank God this has never happened. If I were to have like cluster migraines for like 50 hours at a time, you're putter. You're not allowed to wear tefillin with that guy. You're not allowed. You're putter, but you also didn't fulfill the mitzvah. You can't have it both ways. Hadar Pashta, after asking this question about the hair, what do we see? Seyar ein kan, giluach ein kan. There's no hair and there's no mitzvah of giluach. Says the Gemara, what do you mean? Seyar ein kan. If there is no hair, then what discussion of giluach is there? So the Gemara responds, 12 lines from the bottom, Hachi Kamar, Afal Pisha Seyar ein kan, even though there is no hair, mitzvahs giluach ein kan. You tried, you did a good job, but unfortunately you lost your mitzvah. As mentioned, you tried, it was good. You shaved, let's say you had 100 hairs on your head and you shaved 98 of them. And then the 99th fell out, you're left with the one. I'm sorry. I'm not being mean, just like you.
Do you have to make a bracha before you do this, or no?
I have no idea. There are very few mitzvahs that we don't make brachos on. Very, very few. It happens. The mitzvah of Ona is a mitzvah of Tashmish Hamita. There's no bracha by that. Some of the Hasidic poskim can discuss like making a shahako, like a cup of water before. That's not the Litvaks are like, there's no bracha. And there's svaras lakanu, when do you make the bracha? There's erva, you can't make a bracha in front of an erva. Even an erva shiragil, but you're not supposed to make a bracha in front of a woman, even your spouse. If her hair is uncovered, they should not be within eyesight to make a bracha. Any makom erva, any tefach of erva, you should be turning away. These shilas come up, I think we've discussed before, when you're making kiddush at your Friday night table, and there's someone who's not dressed appropriately. It doesn't take much to not be dressed appropriately. Our standards are very high. But if you have a woman whose hair is not covered and she's married, or if you have a little too low cut, a little too short sleeve, whatever, they cannot be malo einayim. You have to look down. My Rebbe told me this. He showed me the Bir Halacha and Siman Ayin Hey. Atzima Seinayim doesn't work. Closing your eyes doesn't allow you to make that bracha lifnei erva. So it's a big problem, and this stuff comes up all the time. Because that way, when you open your eyes, you can't see that person. It cannot be that when your eyes are open that you can see them. Atzima Seinayim doesn't help. What?
You're changing the metzias of where you are, where your eyes are.
Correct. It's a chiddush that atzima seinayim doesn't work. I don't know if it's a chashash that you might open your eyes, or if it's a bizayon to Shem Hashem to say it in front of erva. It's also possible. By the way, men and women are different in other halachic ways. Men and women are different. A man can make a bracha without a shirt on, no problem. You have to be mafsik bein libo le'erva for a man, doesn't apply for a woman. So there's like a lot of minutia that go into this, but how did we get from the zeros to this? Okay, let's continue. The Gemara says 10, 12 lines from the bottom. The Omar Rava Hare Amru Chavis Shenikva Usitamuha Shmarim. Let's say you had a barrel and there was a little bit of a hole and there's 2 mas mace in the building, but the Shmarim, the skins of the what? Yeah, that's an art scroll word. It's like a perforce word. That was the first time it's not, but it's the first time I ever heard the word. I heard it one time in science actually, because like with the layers of. Yeah, I'm not saying I've never heard the word. I'm just saying like in a normal conversation, nobody uses that word. It's a science word, but it's a science word and then an art scroll word when you're talking about wine. Those are the only 2 applications, like layers of sediment in earth, Well, do you remember what they were? Like the different strata of earth as you dig down? I don't remember what they are anymore. Okay. Anyways, if there's 2 mas drag, yeah, that's another good one. How about the peels? Can we just be not art scroll? Yeah. By the way, you're going to see tomorrow, art scroll severs ties with the Orthodox Union. Sorry, I love you people. Okay, so the Gemara says that if there's 2 mas mace in a house and there's a hole in a barrel, so as long as the shmarim plug up the hole, and the hole would have to be a tefach for tuma to access anyways. But if the shmarim clog up that hole, shalom al Yisrael hitzilua, then it doesn't become tummy. And an application of this is, let's say that I have a 2-floor house, and my upstairs is only accessible from the outside, but there's a hole in the ceiling. There's 2 mas mace on the main floor, and there's a 1 tefach hole between me and the upstairs. Again, there's no stairwell, because pasha, that would be, the whole bias would be 2 mas. Oh hell. But if I have a main floor that's completely sealed off from the second floor on the inside of the building, and there's a mace in the bottom floor, the top floor does not become tamei unless there's a hole that's a tefach size. So it says the Gemara, boy Rava. In such a case where there is a mace on the bottom floor and a hole in the roof between the first and second floors, agaf chetzia mahu. What if we fill up half of that hole? Would that be sufficient? Amar le Rav Yemar le Rav Ashi lav mishnasenu hizu. This is discussed in a Mishnah. Ditnan. We have a Mishnah. This Mishnah can be found in Maseches Kalim, one of the easiest Masechtas in Shas. Chavis shenikvos temu ashmar mitzilua, like we just saw, although we saw it out of context, is that if you have that barrel, it can be saved by the shmarim. However, pikaka bizamura, if it was filled up with like twigs, right? So let's say you have a hole in the roof and you take a couple of, sticks and you just kind of jam them in there just to kind of fill it in a little bit. So then achi marech, you have to literally, miruach means to smooth things out, but it means you have to put some kind of paste or a glue or a putty to make it stick. Otherwise, it's insufficient. Hayu bashtaim, if there were two sticks, still. You need to have putty. You can't, it has to be full. It has to be, relatively closed off, or at least 50%. It says the Gemara, time of demarach. The reason why it works with the sticks is not because of the sticks, but because of the putty. Hello marach lo. It says the Gemara, amai. If the sticks take up 50% of the tefach, why would the tuma go? Says the Gemara, amai v'tehave ki agav chetzer, should be no different than plugging up a hole of shmarim or anything else. Why don't the sticks work? So let's say I had two sticks that they're not stuck in there, but I put them in the hole and I lean them. So they're stuck on an angle, no problem, right? So let's say I have a hole like this and I take one stick like this and it stays. I take another one and of the area of the circle, it covers 52%. Good, we're doing good. But why doesn't that work? So says the Gemara, Amai, v'tehabiki agav chetzah, says the Gemara, Amre, hachi hashta. You're comparing two unrelated cases. Hasam, ilom marach lokai. If the sticks are in there, but they're not firmly in there, then they're not part of the, they're not part of the building. They're not, and then the tumah will come through. But agav chetzah b'midi dekai. But when we have 50% of it that's, closed off with actual putty or something that's a part of the building, so then 100% that works. Let's dig into the case of Chametz Shavar Lava Pesach, 2 lines from the bottom of Kuf Hey Amud Aleph. V'amar Rava. We had said, Hare Amru, Gazal Chametz Shavar Lava Pesach, I steal from you a very expensive bottle on Yud Gimel Nisan, and now it is Lamed Nisan, well after Pesach. Omer lo Haresh al Chalafanecha. Here is your useless bottle of very expensive booze. By Rava. Rava wants to know the following. Top of Kuf Hey Amud Beis. Nishba alav mahu. If a person makes a shvua about what he stole and he lied, would we then say that he's chayav to pay Keren, Chomesh, and then Asham on this valueless bottle of scotch? Had it been that he stole it prior to Pesach, he would have been obligated to pay. Mamona kakafarle. And when he made the shvua, he was making a kfira on Mammon. He was saying, I was lying about Mammon, therefore he has to pay. Odilma hashta mihas hamanach, hashta mihas hamanach ve'afra be'almahu. This is literally worth the dirt of the ground. It's valueless, below kafarle mamona. And when he made a shvua, the bottle before Pesach was worth money, but now it's worthless. Which one do we say? What does the shvua do? So it says the Gemara, Milsa de Ibai Leila Rava, Pshita Leila Rava. A little bit of a dig. That which was an Ibaya for Rava was simple to Rava. The only reason it's not a dig is because Rava was younger than Rabba. Rava was a 4th century Amora. Rabba was 3rd century, so a little hierarchy. The Omar Rabba. Rabba says as follows, I say to you, Shori ganavta, you stole my shor. Omer, you say to me, Lo ganavti. And you say to me, no, I didn't. I say to you, okay, then why is it in your yard? Mativu etzlach. What's it doing by you? And you, caught red-handed, you're like, shomer chinam ani alav. I'm a shomer chinam. When you say you're a shomer chinam and you're lying, you're being kofar on mamun. How so? Because what is a shomer pater on? Gneva ve'aveda. Chayev shari pater atzmo migneva ve'aveda. When you make the claim of shomer chinam, you are in effect denying that you stole and lying about the fact that you actually stole, and your lie patters you from gneva ve'aveda because the shomer chinam is pater from gneva ve'aveda, and therefore chayev shari pater atzmo migneva ve'aveda. Let's say when I say to you, and what is my animal doing in your yard, and you say, shomer sachar ani alav, you're also going to be chayev. Why? Because in your claim of shomer sachar shari pater atzmo mishul remesa, Again, they have a higher level of responsibility, but they're still patur. Even a shoel, says the Gemara, shoel ani alav. You said, I'm just borrowing it, even though it's without permission. And shoel shalomi das have gazlan. I don't even know how this is an answer. But even in the case of shoel, chayiv shari patur atzmi mesamach mas malacha. A shoel basically has every full responsibility as the original owner, except for one thing. If the animal dies of natural causes when being used naturally. So let's say I borrow your cow and I'm plowing. Blood pressure was taken beforehand, cow is healthy, and it drops dead. In that case, I, as a shoel, am patur. Why? It's mesa machmas malacha, normal usage. So therefore, you'd be patur in such a case. Here, you're going to be chayiv. Why are you going to be chayiv here? Because with all of these claims, you were kofer on the mammon. You were trying to wriggle out of having been caught red-handed. You're like, I'm a shomer chinam, I'm a shomer sach, I'm a shoel. Yes, but all of those claims is a kfir in mammon in one case or another, and therefore you'd be held accountable. Alma, 8, 9 lines down, 3 lines before the wide lines. Afal gav de hakoyim, even though the cow exists, kevan di migniv mamona kakafar, since had you actually stolen it and lied, then you would have claimed against money. Hashtanami mamona kakafar. So too in our case, it must be that you're being kofar on mammon. And hachanami afal gav de afra ba'almahu. Same thing by the case of chametz she'avar lava pesach. Even though now it's afar. Since had you stolen it on Yud, Gimel, Nisan, you'd be held accountable fully. So what do we see? We see that there is such a thing as being chayiv and paying back that which you stole, even though it's aser behana, because in theory, had you stolen it at the right time, and Yud, Gimel, Nisan, not on Pesach, before it was Chal Shabbat Pesach, you'd be chayiv. 2 lines into the wide lines, a third of the way down. We'll be stopping about 10, 11, 12 lines from the bottom of the page at Amar of Sheshes. So a little bit more to go, and we'll be done by 9:30 minutes. Yasiv Rabba v'ka Amar lahash ma'isa. Says the Gemara that Rava, and actually uniquely some people say Rabba. And the reason why it would be interesting if this is Rabba is because the previous argument, 6 lines down, started with the Amar Rabba. If it's Rava, then Rava's asking on Rabba. If it's Rabba, then there's a stira within Rabba. So let's see. It says the Gemara, Yasiv Rava v'ka'amar lahashmaisa, Eis v'Rav Amram l'Rava. The pasuk says v'kicheshba, that when a person is kicheshba, when he denies that he stole something, the din is prat lamod be'ikr. Normally we'd say you're obligated to go to Madai to pay this guy back no matter what. However, you are exempt from the rules when you are modeh be'ikr, when you disagree to the fundamental aspect of the theft, which is, in this case, I have your animal in my backyard. If you say to me, Phil, did you steal my animal? And I say no, and I'm literally holding a leash to Betsy, this is not a good look. There's a chain around Betsy's neck that says it belongs to Tex. And I'm saying, no. So then, even if you are found guilty, because you're not denying that you have it in your property, so you're putter from the need to chase down the bailam. Kate said, what's the case? Shori ganafta. You say to me, Phil, you stole my animal. Omer lo ganafti. I said, I did not. And Tex looks at me and says, hello, matibu etzlach. If you didn't steal it, genius, then why are you holding the leash? Why is it in your yard? It says the Gemara. Oh, and then he comes up with a flurry of possible answers. He doesn't say all of them. He says one of them. Tamachartuli, you sold it to me. Atanasatuli b'matana, you gave it to me as a gift. Avicha machruli, your father sold it to me. By the way, so the Gemara has all these examples. Avicha nasnuli b'matana. No, it's not in sequence. He said one of these many various options. Yeah, yes. By the way, the first thing he said is, you sold it to me, which is ridiculous. Who are you talking to? The guy who said you stole my animal. Pashut, he's not going to believe you. You think he forgot? Maybe, but you gave it to me as a present? You gave me a $2,000 cow as a present? All the cases are not normal. Achar parasi ruts. This is already a better svara. Your cow ran after my cow. Okay, now we're talking about real excuses. May love baitzli, your animal just walked into my yard. Toeh b'derech mitzasiv, it was running into a strange place. I just brought it back to my yard. Shomer chinam ani alav, like we saw before. Shomer sachar ani alav, shoel ani alav. And in all of these lying, ridiculous, conniving excuses that I would come up with when I have Betsy in my backyard, Says the Gemara, if I lie in my shvua and then I admit, Yachol Yehei Chayiv, maybe we'd say I'm Chayiv to go find the guy in Madai and return it. That because fundamentally you have that animal in your yard, you're no longer a regular type of gazlan. Doesn't mean you're a worse gazlan necessarily. It just means you don't qualify for the typical application of halacha. Now, this is a problem for Rabbah, because earlier Rabbah had said you're going to be chayav on this in this exact case, right? This was the Rabbah from 6-7 lines down in the case of Shori Ganafta, and he said that you're putter in this case. Here it seems to say, in that case he said you're chayav. In the first case, here it seems to say that you're putter. So says the Gemara, Amar le Tedura. I had no idea what this means. Take a look at Rashi. Rashi is a third of the way down. Tedura, ein lev. You don't have a heart. What's the etymology? Anybody? I've never seen the word before, I don't think. What? Scatterbrain. Scatterbrain?
Yeah.
That is not an artful word.
Is that really what that?
Yeah.
It's surprising, right?
And what does that even connect to Rashi's picture?
Look at that. Rabbi Resnick had mentioned that there was another, more the scatterbrain thing. Rabbi Resnick mentioned that there's something about you have no brain in your head, kind of a line. It was, let's call it a slang of the times, which was an insult, which is... Where are you? I don't have that anywhere. Yeah, I don't have it anywhere. Anyways, Amar le Tedura, he said, Ein Lev, he said, you're being ridiculous, because Kitanya Hahi, in one case, the Amar le Helach. In the latter case, that's where he's handing him the item and saying, take it back, I don't want it. Take it back. Oh, you sold it to me, but here you go. Oh, your father gave it to me, but here you go. I'm giving it back to you. However, Kika Amina dekaima be'agam. But Rabbah was saying that animal, I don't have it in my physical property. It's be'agam. It's down and lost in a river. It's somewhere else. That's what the Gemara says. I asked the Gemara, a couple of these examples make no sense, because Ata mechartali, you sold it to me. Wait, if you sold it to me and I have it in my yard, I'm not that weird case of I have your animal v'kichesh and prat lemodebe. I'm not being modebe ikar. I bought it from you. I'm a regular guy. Says the Gemara, my modebe ikar ika. What does that even mean? Lo tzricha damar le lo nasati l'cha dmei. Yes, I bought it from you, but we never transacted with money. I never paid you for it. I just agreed to pay you for it. And the animal's in my yard. Shkil torcha v'zil, just take your animal back. That's why it's a case of prat lemodebe ikar. What about the case of atonasatuli? You gave it to me. Avicha nasnuli, my modebe ikar ika. Here too, you're not deviating from a normal case. Really, lemaisa, at the end of the day, you are doing what is normal, and there shouldn't be a case of modebe ikar. Says the Gemara, da amar le al menaste avidna lach nayich denafsha. All of this was on condition of nayich denafsha, that I was going to do something nice for you. V'lo avdilach, and I didn't fulfill my end of the bargain, and therefore shkol torcha v'zil. So here too, it's still a case of prat lemodebe ikar. Next case, says the Gemara, toa b'derech mitzasiv, I found your animal running around. Lema, the argument could be, iboy lach la'ahadurli. What about the mitzvah of hashava saveda? You should have given it back to me. Amar avod Shmuel be'omer, where the guy made a shvua. I, who found your animal running around, I didn't know whose it was. There was no name tag. There was no collar. We had no idea who it was. Shvua aveda matzasi. I make a shvua that I found an object. Below hayisi yodea shishelcha shachzirenach. I had no idea it was yours, Pasha. That's what the Gemara says about that case. And then the Gemara changes gears until we get to Rav Sheshes, just 5 or 6 more lines. The Gemara says as follows: Tanya, Amar ben Azai Gimel Shvuos. There are 3 types of shvuos in regards to this aveda. Hikirba below b'motza. I recognize your animal, but I didn't know that it was found. B'motza below ba, or I found it, but I didn't know it was yours. Lo ba below b'motza, or I didn't recognize it was yours and it wasn't found. So on the last case, the Gemara says, if you didn't recognize it and it wasn't found, what happened? What was the case? Lo ba below b'motza kushta ishtaba. If you made a shvua under those circumstances, then all you did was tell the truth in your shvua. Shalom al Yisrael. Says the Gemara, Ema ba'uvemota. The third case is where I saw it and I knew it was yours. Says the Gemara, Lamai Hilchasa. What about in that case if I found your animal? Says the Gemara, Rav Ami Amar Rav Chanina Liftor, Ushmuel Amar Lechiyu. So there's a machlokes about this case. Ubeplukta Tahani Tanoi Detanya. And this is actually found in a brayso as well. Hamashbia eid echad pater. If one has an eid echad who makes a shvuah, again under the specific set of circumstances, you're pater. Rabbi Elazar ben Shimon mechayev. B'maika miflagi. What exactly are they talking about? And this is a sugya that we've seen a number of times already in this masechta, and apparently in Maseches Psachim. Davar hagorim lemamon kemamon dami. According to some, davar hagorim lemamon is kemamon dami. Umar savar lav kamamon dami, and some hold that it's not kamamon dami, and this explains the machlokes between the Tanakama and Rabbi Eliezer Reb Shimon, that the Tanakama holds davar hagorim lemamon is not kamamon dami, and Rabbi Eliezer Reb Shimon holds that it is, and that's why he holds that you're chayev. Emir Hashem will pick up on Shabbos 1 hour before with Amar Rav Sheshes. Wishing you all a beautiful night.